Hey guys, welcome back for a brand new Q&A video. I've got a great lineup of questions that came from the Patreon campaign right here. We've got 5 of them to get to today. And the first one comes from Steven. Steven asks, when you travel, what are the top 5 things you need to bring? This is a very important question to me because I'm a very diligent packer. I very rarely forget anything. I use this app called Wunderlist. I've actually been using it for many years at this point, and I kind of just keep recycling the same packing list. So basically, I never forget anything. But one of the top things on my list there is my glasses. So I wear contacts. If I ever went anywhere and I didn't have my glasses, I would be in big trouble. I also have chargers on my list, very high up on my list. Hey, Dew. Because you guys know I'm attached to the laptop, I'm attached to my phone, my iPad, my watch. If my watch wasn't charged and I didn't have it during the day, it would feel like a part of me was missing. So I need all of my chargers or I'm in big trouble. I've also got snacks on my list here because, you know, sometimes when you go away, you don't have the foods you love. So I do like to pack protein bars, very into Luna bars. I'll buy things from Creation, a local shop here in Los Angeles. They have a bunch of snacks there that I love, so I like to have some food that I know I really like on hand. Also, I can't go anywhere without a comfy sweatshirt. So more so than anything, when I get dressed, I like to be comfortable, and most of the time that comfort is tied directly to a big, fluffy, hooded sweatshirt. So I will never travel anywhere. I probably wouldn't even be on the plane unless I was wearing a hooded sweatshirt. And then the last thing, because I think this is the thing that I run the risk of forgetting the most, and that is kind of terrifying because you can't travel without it, is an ID. Before I get on a plane, I must check my pockets like 20 times to make sure I have not forgotten my ID. So that is actually #1 on my wonder list. The last thing I check off to make sure I am not going out the door without it. Now I've got a second question here from Ryan, and it's a big one. Ryan asks, do you think Disney is killing Star Wars? So yeah, it's a pretty intense question here, but it is one that I have a short and simple personal answer to at least, and it's a no. The more that I read and discuss the opinions of moviegoers who do not like The Last Jedi, the more I come to understand their side of this and why they feel the way they do. But even with that understanding, it doesn't change my personal opinion that I love the movie. I love the risks they took. I love how they subverted my expectations. But in regards to this broader question here, I do think it is directly tied to The Last Jedi because really, ever since that movie came up, I do think I see this question popping up more and more often. And yeah, I know I do tend to veer towards the positive and think the best in people, but when it comes to Star Wars, or really any movie for that matter, I would find it very hard to believe for a filmmaker to go into a movie with bad intentions, looking to make a bad movie that'll upset people. And when it comes to a franchise like Star Wars, you do hit a point where you have to take risks, so it winds up being something different and not more of the same every single time. And I'm not saying that everything they changed and everything they went outside the box with worked for everybody, because clearly it didn't, and I respect that. But I do trust that Disney values the Star Wars brand to the point that they may be testing the waters in some respect right now. Maybe they'll learn from the reaction to The Last Jedi. They'll apply things to other movies that'll make the overall franchise better. But I do think Disney knows what they have with the Star Wars brand, which is a very special, unparalleled brand. And I think they're going to bring the best to it in the future. Really, that's what I'm going to hold tight to right now because I care about Star Wars so much. All I want right now is good movies, and I don't just mean good movies for myself. I really do miss the days when just the overall community in general was super excited about Star Wars. So I want to see quality movies and movies that reinvigorate the fandom because it's a special group of people and I like being a part of it. All right, on to the next question now. This one comes from Evan. Evan asks, if you could take 3 movies from the 21st century and show your 10-year-old self how awesome movies would become technologically, visually, etc., which movies would they be? When I first read this question, my mind immediately went to the Apes franchise, and I only get 3 movies here, so I didn't want to do all 3 movies, so I'll just go for my favorite one, which is still Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I love all of them, but that one is still my favorite. But really, the point is, I picked that movie for the incredible craft of motion capture. If my my 10-year-old self saw what human beings in basically pajamas could bring to screen, really, my mind would have been blown. And at that time, I probably would have predicted that in the very near future, actors like Andy Serkis would maybe be recognized by the Academy for work like that. That is another topic, though, but I am rooting for it to happen. My second movie now is Mad Max Fury Road, and really, still to this day, I find that movie astounding, and not for visual effects and the post-production work, but because of what they accomplished on set in camera. Go online and just Google Mad Max without all the visual effects, and it really does still look astounding and riveting. So I'd like to show that to my 10-year-old self as well. And as a horror lover, I do have to throw in something in the genre, and I think I'm going to go with last year's It, because it is just the best of both worlds. I grew up loving movies like Scream and loving the slasher genre, but you know, in the 90s and in the early 2000s, a lot of the horror movies that we were getting really were just appealing to the horror community. What's really exciting about what's happening now is we have movies like It. We have movies like A Quiet Place, for example, that are transcending the genre. They're bringing in horror fans, but they also have more to it that's appealing to moviegoers across the board, and that is so exciting. But then you could also factor in the incredible Pennywise design. There is so much to admire about that movie, and as a kid who watched the original miniseries quite a few times, to see how far that character would have come, that really would have been something else. So now I've got another question for you. This one comes from Kavi, and Kavi writes, what's your favorite guilty pleasure movie and snack food? I've spoken about some guilty pleasure movies before, so I'm tying this one directly to my snack food. But as some of you know, I don't really snack all that much during movies. Really, the only theater I think I go to where I deliberately go there planning to eat food is one of those Alamo draft houses where they serve you your meal during the movie. It's something about that experience, and especially because I was going to a lot of those when I was attending South by, and when you go to those midnight screenings, there's really nothing better than sitting there with a pizza and a beer. I love those places. But in general, if I do snack during a movie, which again, it rarely happens, it's mostly pretzels, whether I bring my own pretzels or I get the soft pretzels from the actual movie theater. But the only time I will eat during a movie is when it's one of those movies that, you know, maybe it's just fun to watch and it's throwing entertainment in your face and it isn't really challenging you to think so much, because when I'm sitting there in a movie, I want to be 100% engaged, and food is a little distracting for me. But if I'm eating my pretzels, odds are I'm going to want to watch something kind of fun and crazy, an action blockbuster type movie, and my mind immediately went to Starship Troopers, which I love. That is one of those movies where if it's on TV, I sit on the couch and I don't move, and I'm just having a blast watching every second of it. And you know what? Maybe I'm having a blast while eating some pretzels too. So thanks for that question, Kavi. I have one more to hit today, and it's coming from Michael. Michael asks, do you have a favorite place to sit in the movie theater? No, I actually don't. If I do walk into a movie theater, let's say with a few friends, and the whole movie theater is empty, and someone asks me, where do you want to sit? I'll probably say, I'm fine wherever's good. The only place I don't like to sit is in the front row, and I only know one person who likes to sit in the front row, and I often can't sit next to him during a movie, and it's Mark Ellis. I remember I saw the movie Loving, and he wanted to sit in the front row, so I sat in the front row as well, and it was one of those things where I was so uncomfortable after a while, where you're just trying to like get to the side and lean back in the chair and have a comfortable view of the screen. I will not sit in the front rows for anything, but otherwise, I really do think that most of the theaters I go to offer a really solid viewing experience, as long as you sit anywhere else in the theater. So most of the time when I'm with a group of friends, I say, you know what, whatever makes you happy, I'm good. And you know what makes me happy? These 5 guys right here, because they've been part of the Patreon campaign for a little while now, and I greatly appreciate them being here, sending in these great questions. If you want to send in a question too, it's super easy to do. Check out that Patreon campaign, pick the tier with the Q&A question on it, and then I'll answer your question next month. Again, guys, thank you for sending these in. Thanks to everybody watching this video. Please like and share, and I'll see you soon with more videos.